Welcome back. I thought we would talk about something a little off topic today, but it's something that I think we all need to be aware of. I think it's something we're all interested in. And this is the national coin shortage. So we're going to talk about it. Is it real? Is it part of a conspiracy? I mean, maybe I should get the tinfoil hat again. I'm not so sure about that. But we're going to take a look at that when we come back. Okay, national coin shortage. Is it real? So why would I ask if it's real? I go into stores, I see signs everywhere saying we are in the midst of a national coin shortage. I see the self-checkout registers refusing to accept cash. Now, when I want to get change from the few that do accept cash, they want me to give my change to the charity of their choice, which is, by the way, the reason I won't do it. I have no problem giving to charity, but I prefer to select my own charities. That's the way this works. If I don't get to select my own charities, it starts to look more like a tax than a charitable contribution. But regardless, I go into other stores and they don't have signs, and I ask them, and they say, we don't have any problem. We've got plenty of coins. So I'm sure I'm not the only one getting these mixed messages. So I decided to look into it, and I am not an economist. I need to say that. I know you thought I was an economist. No, I'm not. I did, however, take a minor in economics as an undergrad. Doesn't make me an economist by a long shot, but what it does mean is when economists speak, I understand what they're saying, and I can catch the ramifications of what they're saying, despite the fact that my specialty was communist economic systems and not capitalist systems. So anyway, now I really do understand economics because of that, and as a result of that basic understanding, I have some sense of what is happening. Now, a lot of people are saying that there is some kind of conspiracy. And no, I'm not putting on my tinfoil hat because we're not there yet. We may get there, but not yet. So, is there a coin shortage? According to the United States Mint, yes, there is, but it's not a shortage of coins. You are on my desk again, you naughty cat. It is coins out there that are not in circulation. So, at one point, apparently, we did have a coin shortage, and this was during the early phase of the pandemic when the Mint was cutting back on the staff in order to deal with social distancing and social isolation and so on and so forth. And frankly, everybody was laying everybody else off at that point. They were certainly not the only people who was sending folks home from work. So with short staff, it meant lower production. And when you couple that with people in self-isolation, states on wholesale lockdown, and all kinds of businesses that commonly use change closing down, restaurants come to mind immediately because these are coin-intensive businesses. Yeah. The idea, however, that people are hoarding coins doesn't ring true with me. I just do not believe that what is happening And this is, in fact, what the experts are saying. They're saying, we've got all these coins out there, but nobody's circulating them. Well, that suggests that folks like you and I are simply stockpiling coins, that we have jars and cups and pockets full of coins that we are not spending. And that seems rather unlikely to me because, frankly, I'm not doing it. I don't know anybody who is hoarding coins. That it just, it's not like toilet paper, or remember in my area it was iced tea. So that part, I'm not real sure about. But nevertheless, we certainly have an issue. And the issue is not strictly limited to coins. We may have a coin shortage, but when you go into the store and they are saying we are not doing cash transactions at this register, that's not just a coin impact, that is a bill impact too. In other words, if you have to use that piece of plastic to conduct your business, it's not just about coins. So when we start to look at this, we are seeing all kinds of potential impacts. And there's no question that the shutdown earlier this year of a couple of months from the coronavirus is going to have some serious economic impacts. It already has. But the issue with cash, and that's the way I'm seeing it in my area. In other words, it's not like I can go up to somebody, pay for my purchase and say, well, it came to $9.98, keep the 2 cents. I can't even hand them a $10 bill because they are not taking cash. And certainly if they are taking cash, they want exact change, and they're saying we would prefer you use plastic. When people say that, that's what the customer is going to do. So, potential impacts. Well, there is a concept called the unbanked. Now, I was a social worker for years. I never heard this term until I spoke with a banker when I was living in Puerto Rico, where they said approximately a third of the island, and remember this is the United States, is unbanked, which is a term that means people who do not use the banking system. The current estimate is that something like 7 or 8% of all U.S. households are, 7.7% of all U.S. households are unbanked. No relationship with any bank at all whatsoever. But that 25% are in the category of unbanked or underbanked. And underbanked people are people who use payday loans to get from one paycheck to the next. They don't keep money in the bank. They use the bank in order to cash their checks, pay their bills, and that's the end of it. The bank does not have their money because the money goes out as fast as it comes in. That shouldn't be a surprise to any of us that 25% of the population are living paycheck to paycheck. I frankly would have suspected the figure to be much higher. When we are in a situation as we are now, and we are in my area, this may be different in other areas, but the research I've done has indicated that it's right across the board in the U.S. The people who are most likely to be hit and most likely to be hardest hit are low-income people. And why is that? Well, first of all, strictly dealing with coins, the services that are used by low-income people that are coin-intensive that come to mind immediately are laundromats, vending machines. And the reason for this is obvious. If you are low income, you might not have your own washer and dryer. You'll need to go to a laundromat. That's a totally coin business. And vending machines, this is a little different, but it has to do with the inability to buy in bulk if you can't afford it. If I want a soda, I don't have to go to a vending machine. I go into the store, I buy a 6-pack of soda, I bring it home, I stick it in the fridge, I have the soda, I walk away, there are 5 left behind. If I didn't have the money to buy a 6-pack of soda and I wanted a single soda, vending machine. Now, I use vending machines when I go to Walmart, for example. They have a couple of vending machines out in the foyer. And remember, that's how it's pronounced, foyer. And I will very often stick a couple of quarters in, grab a can of Coke, go off. I don't do that anymore because I have to wear a mask, so I can't drink my Coke in the store. So it's not fun anymore. And, you know, takes the joy out of the experience for me. But frankly, when I was in college, I lived out of the vending machines. I really did. I would walk out the door with a pocket full of change. And part of that is because, by the way, it's just a little aside, my first day at American University, one of the professors pulled me aside and said, "Don't drink the water on campus. We've had," I think he said it was 6 deaths in the last 2 years in this department alone from cancer, because the education department at AU was backing right up to the area where the Army Corps of Engineers was dumping toxic and hazardous materials in previous generations. So you better believe when I was there, I didn't even take a drink out of a water fountain, not once. I wouldn't get a cup of coffee that was made there. Anything had to come out of a can, and I would check the label to make sure it came from another state. Woo, scary. But aside from that digression, a lot of low-income people are using change. Think about it. If you don't have a lot of money, you are not going into a store handing a person a $20 bill for everything you buy. It's just not the way your life works. So these are the people who are going to be disproportionately impacted by a coin shortage, or as I say, it's looking like it's a cash shortage in my area, or at the very least, a non-cash preference. So as a result, I consider the situation serious. And yes, I know that is like this whole social worker thing because I'm worried about the poor. And yes, I'm worried about the poor. I don't think that makes me a lousy human. The fact is, we should all be worried about any situation that disproportionately impacts the poor. So, how does this situation get resolved? Well, according to the Mint, the way to deal with this is we've all got to go out and spend more coins. Now, I can't do that if I'm going to registers that will only pay, that I can only use plastic. They'll only take plastic. And I'm finding more and more of these. So I'm thinking, well, okay, that's one problem, you know, this whole disfavoring of cash. Number 2 is this. I have a cat behind me. People, after having been in situations of isolation for, 6 months now, have gotten into the habit of shopping online. And when we shop online, we shop with plastic and not with cash. And the fact is that you create sort of social habits after a period of 6 months of dealing with plastic, dealing with cash. becomes a little less high on your agenda. So between the fact that, I don't know, at least in my area, I'm finding fewer and fewer places that I am able to spend cash, assuming I want to spend my coins, and fewer people are out there in the community to spend the cash in the first place. I mean, the president has just come down with coronavirus. You're going to see a lot more people getting scared and self-isolating when that sort of thing happens. It is the inevitable consequence. So between the self-isolation, the plastic habit that we've all acquired over the last 6 months, and the fact that even if you have a handful of change, where's the cash register that's going to take it? I'm seeing this as a problem. I just do not see cat hair up my nose. He wasn't even in my face. My goodness. So anyway, I'm seeing that particular solution as inherently problematic. I'm not really sure, though, that this is the extent of the problem, because something very interesting has been happening the last few days in terms of my personal money supply. So when we first went into lockdown, now you remember that I was all optimistic and it was like, oh, it'll be a couple of weeks. Oh, yeah, right. I had this notion that nothing like this could have gone beyond 2 or 3 weeks. Well, I know. Oh, what was I thinking? And this went on for months, and my state released us from lockdown somewhere in the middle. There were states that were on lockdown for much longer, and there are areas in the country, large cities, for example, where people are still self-isolating. There are also people who have medical issues that are requiring them to self-isolate, and they're going on 6 months now. But at the beginning, I went to my bank and I pulled out $200 in cash. Remember, I was thinking 2 to 3 weeks. How much money do I need to get through 2 to 3 weeks? Because I didn't know if the banks would be closed. I just thought, I'll get some money out of the bank just in case. How bad can it be? Well, after that, when the initial lockdown ended, I'm starting to see these coin shortage signs. And I never actually spent that money because, like I say, you go in, the register said credit cards only, and there was nowhere to spend the cash. It's not like the old days when I would have gone out to lunch, I'd have gone to a restaurant, you leave a cash tip, etc. No. So I found that several months later, that was when I had spent that money. Not like the 2 to 3 weeks I had envisioned. So I started getting more money. And I did this at the self-checkout registers. You stick in your card, they say, do you want cash back? And I say, yes. And an interesting thing has been happening. Right now, at this moment, and I count it so I know, I have $160 in my wallet, one $20 bill. It's all 10s and 5s other than that. The machines are spitting out lower denomination currency. Now, I don't know what this means, but when it first happened, take out $20 and I got it in 5s. I went to another store, take out another $20, 2 10s. Another store, $40, 4 10s. For some reason that I have no explanation for, at least in this area, the machines are spitting out lower denomination money. I do not know what that means. It's possible it doesn't mean anything. But this is where I said, not the tinfoil hat yet. The people out there who are saying this is a way of sort of forcing a cashless society on us, I'm starting to wonder about that now, because if they start getting rid of the larger bills that make it more convenient to carry a lot of cash, maybe. But I'm not ready to put the tinfoil hat on yet. I'm not ready to sign up for the conspiracy theories. I'm just throwing that out there because I'd like to know what your experiences are. Are you seeing the same thing I am? Now, I am in South Central Pennsylvania. This is a largely rural area. I have a Mennonite farmer 2 doors down the road from me. Honestly, I do. This is not the big city. So, what's your experience? Are you seeing these coin shortage signs? Are you able to do cash transactions at your stores? Or are you seeing signs saying this register is like credit card, debit card only? Or the sign saying, please use exact change or use your card? Because, hey, it could just be my area. And as I say, I am watching this carefully because I do know that the population that is most likely to be affected by this and to be hardest hit are the folks that can't take the hit. It's the poor. It's the folks who are unbanked. Oh, and by the way, no matter what anybody says, the reason people are unbanked is not because they don't like banks. There's a percentage. I'm sure there are those who stick their money in a shoebox and bury it in the backyard or stuff it under the mattress. But that's not why, at least it's not why, my former social service clients were unbanked. The reason they were unbanked is because they were poor. When they did open bank accounts, they had a tendency to overdraw those bank accounts. That's what happens when you're poor. It's just, that is a reality of life because every penny counts. All you have to do is make one tiny screw up. You bounce one check. It's a cascading effect because you're living hand to mouth and you don't have the extra money to pay the bounce check fees. And that information goes to a company. It's called Check Systems. And if you have bounce checks, the banks will not open checking accounts for you. So it's not like these people are saying, we hate banks, we don't want a bank. The banks are saying, we don't want your business because we think you're a risk, that you will overdraw your checking account. In fact, they could be right. It's, as I say, this is just a normal consequence of that level of poverty. So these are the folks, the unbanked, they are dealing strictly with cash. Now, around here, we see a lot of people who are just off the grid. It's just that simple. They are either choosing this for political reasons or, not that like I'm trying to say that I live in Militiaville or anything like that. It's just that rural areas have probably a higher percentage of people who are off the grid by choice. Mostly because people who are off the grid by choice go to rural areas. It's very hard to do it in the city. But sometimes they are off the grid out of necessity. They are homeless. They don't have jobs. Their living situation is marginal to begin with. They don't have their own homes. They're living with friends. They're living with family. And, it's a hand-to-mouth existence. So those are the people that I am concerned about. But keep in mind, too, that our community, our little YouTube channel community, is largely older women. And older women are one of the poverty groups in this country. Oh, the fact is that single mothers with children is one of the highest poverty groups in the country to begin with. So women are much more likely to be poor than men are, just statistically. My goodness, that is a hard one to say with tape on your face. So let me know what your experience has been. We know that there's a problem. We know that it's real. It's not made up. We know that they have potential solutions. And my opinion is, and this is where my opinion comes in, that those potential solutions, more people going out spending more coins, are not real likely to happen anytime soon. As I say, President's got coronavirus. More people are going to go into voluntary social isolation. And the fact is that with fewer and fewer machines taking cash, even if we want to spend our coins, it's getting harder and harder to do it. So let me know what you think. Is this a problem for you? Are you seeing it yourself? Is this something that is of concern to you? And also, have you noticed smaller denomination bills being spit out by these machines? Because that's the newest thing I'm noticing, and that's the one that has me wondering what that means and what the consequences are. All right. Thank you so much for indulging this one. I do think it's worth us taking a look at because it could very well be the shape of things to come, and we could be seeing the early signs of a cashless society. If we are, we have to be prepared for it. And if that means making changes in the way we do business, yes, it does. For some of us, those of us who are dependent on laundromats, etc., maybe this is a good time to go to the bank and get an extra roll of quarters. All right. Have a great day. I will see you all tomorrow. We have a project video tomorrow and not a shop spotlight. We have a shop that we are ready to spotlight, but the owner of the shop is going to be away on vacation, so I want to make sure that she is here and available, so we're working this around her. But people have written in and said, gee, I'd like a project, but we have a project because we have something special on the agenda. All right, let's take a real quick look at JLS's beautiful horizon pictures. Let's enjoy our moment of calm and serenity in the midst of this coin shortage storm. And whether you are a Republican, a Democrat, an independent, or non-political, let us hope, for the sake of our country, if for nothing else, that the president's coronavirus does not have too much in the way of impact, because the leader of the free world in lockdown is not a good thing. All right, we'll see y'all tomorrow.